Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is R2 Vaughn D2. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Pretty good, Rich. I had a weird thing happen to me this weekend.
Oh boy.
So this is a bit naughty, all right? But we went through the proper shit. Yeah. So my parents came this weekend.
Okay.
And they brought me their old grill. They just downsized. They moved into a condo. So that my dad brought me this grill, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, I got the propane ready, and I'm like, all right. And I go to, you know how like the propane grills have like that button, like the starter button.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, how the hell do you start this thing? There's no button on it. Like there was supposed to be a button, but it was like missing. He's like, oh yeah, that fell off a long time ago. It stopped working, so I took it off. He's
So
like, just take one of those pointer lighters. You just light it. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. I was like, okay.
Okay.
So I do it. I am engulfed in flames. I burned all the hair off my hand.
That's a clean hand now.
It's a clean, like this is the other hand.
Look at that.
You can
We're on
clearly see
YouTube.
hair.
If you want to watch it on YouTube. That
Look
is
at
a
that.
clean hand. Look at
There's
that.
no hair on my hand. So I'm like, holy shit. So I like jump back. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, you told me. He's like, oh yeah, you only light one of the coils.
Oh.
It's like,
that would have been huge.
That would have been a huge help to me.
That would have been huge news earlier.
Yeah. I've never lit a propane grill with a fucking lighter before. He's like, yeah, you're only supposed to do one of the things. One of the, I was like, Jesus Christ. He's like, yeah, just one of the burners. Meanwhile, I got
just one. It just lights up.
My kids are crying because I just smell like burnt hair. Like burnt all the hair off my hand. And didn't burn my actual hand, just like singed all the hair.
That was like one time my sister was back from college and my dad was out grilling and my sister had this huge dog. You might have known her, Angel, this huge dog. She was like a mix of something, but she was like a monster dog.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. I remember. Okay.
She's had a few big dogs, but so she had this one dog, Angel. This was her dog she had in college, and so my dad was out there grilling. And then he comes back in, and we're all just sitting there eating. And all of a sudden, my sister looks over. She's like, "What happened to Angel? Looks like her whiskers got like burnt off." And my dad starts dying laughing. He's like, "Oh yeah." I needed to like remote light the grill. She was so close to it, and just and he was like dying laughing. He's like, "Oh my god!" He was like, "It was hysterical," and she's like, "What?" So
she was like, "My dog on fire,"
like because she was like poking around, like you know how dogs can be. They're just like they want to get into your business. They're just poking around, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and she had like. Her poor whiskers were like half. Oh, it was awful.
Oh my goddamn hand whiskers are gone.
You got smoked. You got absolutely smoked right there.
Oh yeah, shit. You only lit one of the coils, man. Sorry,
you got piped there.
Yeah,
Ryan, I did. I followed one of your suggestions.
What's that?
One of your recent pick of the pods was 90 Day Fiance, and I started watching it because my wife was watching it.
Yeah,
and so I sat down. I'm like, all right, well, Davey Eyeballs told me to watch this, so I'm going to sit down here and watch some of it. There's so much to unpack.
It's just captivating.
So like the one guy, so my thought, and I think most people who watch the show, it immediately goes to what does it look like when these people have sex?
Oh God, yeah.
Isn't that all you think of?
That's all, because like there's so much like tension between the two of them, you know, like leading up to it and like all that stuff that you're like.
So the three, because there's so many storylines. There's really three that stood out to me.
Sure.
So I'm curious if these three are the most interesting to you. So obviously the guy who looks like an egg.
Yeah, Ed. Yeah.
Ed.
Big Ed, yeah.
So Ed is with a young lady from the Philippines who is 30-something years younger. He said he has kids. He has one kid older than her.
Yes.
But she wants like another kid with him, and he doesn't. But he looks like, I almost am afraid to make fun of him because I feel like there's got to be something.
Oh, yeah. It's like a degenerative spinal thing.
He doesn't have a neck.
Like, so it's like basically he's gotten like hunchback to the point where it's like he has no neck. And the best part is when he turns his head, he has to turn his whole body.
His whole body. And he had the audacity to tell her that she had bad breath.
Oh my God. That was like, or like shave her legs.
He was like,
my wife is like screaming at the TV like it's a sporting event. Like, who even are you?
He showed up and he was like, you need to get an STD test. Yep. You need to brush your teeth. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, I do brush my teeth. She's like, I got an ulcer. And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
So apparently she has just garbage breath from an ulcer,
Yep.
but
It's
she
called
loves
GERD.
him
I
and wants
looked it
more
up.
kids. And then she gives him these faces that are just like the worst.
And she laughs at him. She goes like, ha, ha, ha,
Yeah.
ha. And
She's very robotic. She's like
Yeah.
very robotic, and he's like in love with her. And the best was he says to her, he's like, your sister said, or she asked for money from me.
Yeah.
And she said, don't tell you. He's like, but did you know about that? And she's like tapping her foot like 1,000 miles an hour.
Clearly
She
did.
looks at him blankly and she's like, I don't know that. And he's like, I believe her.
Did you ever seen that thing where like, what was it? It was like the drug testing. No, it was the Secret episode of The Office when like Dwight goes through all the things that a liar does.
Oh, she did.
And then he's
all.
talking to Michael and he does all of them. And he's like, I believe you.
I believe you. He just wants to believe her, obviously.
Oh God.
So
that's how the balls
couple.
on that guy to be like, am I your meal ticket? Was like, yeah. Like,
probably, dude. That's how it works.
Is?
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And then she goes, you lied about your height, which is amazing. I don't know what he said because I didn't see that episode.
He said he was 5'2". Because she's 5'2".
Wait, he said he was 5'2"?
Yeah.
How tall is he?
I think he's like 4'11". Like Danny DeVito.
That makes sense. So she said she's 5'2".
Yeah. She said she's 5'2". She said, oh, I'm 5'2" too. So they'd be the same height.
Same.
Oh, did you see the one? Did you see the same? Did you see the one where he's like, he told her she had bad breath?
Yeah.
He said he had bad breath and go brush your teeth. And she walks by him. He's like, I love you. She's like, you're ugly. He goes, what? He's like, you're ugly.
You're ugly. Yeah. I think she said that I love you too.
Oh, that means I love you. Yeah. Alpha love.
Nope.
Yeah.
So that one was good. Then also there's two different people on the show being catfished.
Oh God, yeah.
The one that you told me about where the woman,
I just don't think that's Williams. I just don't think that's Williams. Williams would never say anything like that to me.
Now his friend said he got hacked. So
I died. She's like, because they do that. They hacking.
Yeah. So she knows enough about the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. And the kids are like, oh, I love it. I love it so much.
She has two kids who
adult kids
could not be more normal based on the show.
Right.
And they're like, Mom, look, we can reverse image this.
Right.
And it's just stock photos of like guy with shirt off. She's like, well, maybe they stole it from him. We're like, no, that's like at what definitely point, not how it works.
If that was your mother, we talk about it in the Davey household. Like I would take my mom's phone.
Yeah.
And be like, you don't get internet. Like
you don't have internet. You've lost internet privileges.
You have like here's your Razor, Motorola Razor back, which I know you love. My mother had a Razor until like it literally died. I was like, just take and she said to this day, she's like, this is the best phone. That's the best phone I ever had. I'm like, well, you get that back.
Right.
No more internet for you.
You're done with the internet.
Yeah.
She was so convinced that Williams. Amazing. And then my third favorite person, well, he's a horrible person, but my third favorite storyline was the dating coach in Australia.
Oh, what a scumbag that guy is.
This guy, he's 38, and he is with a 32-year-old from Seattle, Washington. And
very
she's
attractive.
Like, I was going to say, especially for the show.
Yep.
For the purposes of the show, she's an attractive lady.
Mm-hmm.
He's like in good shape, but he's got like these bug eyes when he's like having conversation.
Crazy eyes.
They look like they're going to come flying out of his head. And so this, first of all, if you are a dating coach and you're listening to us, you're full of shit. That's not a job. Listen,
not a job.
I'm in Sports Talk Radio. You can, I know you can say that's not a job either. Too bad. The dating coach is full of shit, especially when you have a dating coach who is just a misogynist and shows up and he's like, "Women be shopping," and you're like, "No, dude."
And she, what was her name? I forget. His name's Ash, and I forget her name.
Shannon.
Maybe? Oh, she was like mortified.
So she sat in the back row, and like, so he's in Australia, and like, first of all, 6 people take his class, which they have the audacity all episode to call a seminar. I'm like,
right?
Yeah, there were 6 thirsty women in there. I don't know if this is deemed a seminar, but they were like challenging him because they were like, men do this, women do like his whole. It was literally like a stand-up comedy from the 1980s. Women do this, men do this, men do this, then women do that. And you're like, wait a minute, you're a dating coach? And they were like challenging him because they were like, he was like, what, like basically like hunter-gatherers and then like stay at home and cook and clean. And you're like,
men are very, and I remember he's like, men are very practical. Men are very like problem solvers, and women get emotional about everything. And I just went, oh,
you don't do that, buddy.
Oh no.
No. And then the lady like called him out on it, and he's like looking around. He's like, well, no, it's true.
And then he had to take a break.
He left.
Like,
he left in the middle of
left the room.
Oh, this guy sucks.
Like, and the thing is like, can you stay with someone like that?
No.
After you see them, like, if I were, what's that? It was on Seinfeld when their girl dumps Banya because she saw his act.
Yeah.
Like, you don't come back from that. Like, you not only is
couldn't.
this a bullshit profession, but you stink at it.
But not only is it a bullshit profession that he stinks at, but it's specifically about how he views all women to be.
Oh yeah.
And then, but what's crazy about this goddamn show is there's like so many deal breakers, and then they talk to the people and they're like, I'm thinking this could be over. And you're like, what?
It was over.
You're still hanging on to this guy?
What about Baby Love? You know Baby Love, Soldier Boy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's another one.
Baby Love. Oh, she's gross. She's the worst person.
That lady's like 100 years old. She looks like a lit cigarette, and she's married to some guy from Nigeria, and he's like, I'm the boss of the house. And she's like, well, we'll talk about that. He's like, no, seriously, I'm the boss of the house. And she's like, I don't know about that.
So my favorite lines from the show, Derek, the guy says, she had a face like a blind cobbler's thumb. Like that. That's a good one.
She's not great.
Oh.
But anyway, so Ryan, so good pick of the pod there. That show's just fucking ridiculous. There's so many characters though, and like some of them are kind of boring. Like I feel like you can fast forward.
The girls in Australia bore me.
Yeah.
Arca. I hate that.
Don't care.
Pisses me off.
Watch it. You can fast forward that. But first of all, Ryan, may the 4th be with you, by the way.
May the 4th be with you.
A couple more hours here on the Star Wars Day. You ready for the news?
Yeah.
Okay. This week in Hashtag Dork is brought to you by The Griffin.
The Griffin?
The Griffin. That's right, Ryan, The Griffin. Death is only the beginning. Follow Avery Cole as he is thrust into a multiversal Cold War between the ever-expanding Empress Corporation and the defenders of our Earth, the Tribunal. The novel is about Avery Cole, a University of Chicago student, accidentally becoming the wielder of Excalibur, the Griffin. And he learns that his Earth is only one of many, and that his Earth is at the center. His mentor is Nicholas, a dwarf, but actually the world's first hero, Gilgamesh. In this world, mythological beings walk around in modern day, and the hidden magical world is run by the Tribunal, an assembly composed of various magical families and cities. You can buy the book, whether you want the Kindle version or the hard copy, on Amazon. You can check them out on Facebook as well, facebook.com/theonetruegriffin. And you can follow the author on Twitter at Stephen Price. He's a listener of the podcast, so check him out.
Check him out and check it out.
How about this ridiculous story? AMC, the theater chain, is saying that once they open back up again, they are not going to show Universal films because Universal Films were doing like their on-demand during the pandemic. That seems really stupid. I don't like that.
This will change.
I feel like that's something you say now. You're angry. Universal eventually will have some awesome movie, and they're going to be like, "Oh shit, yeah, please come here, please."
Yeah, because
have it here.
The only one I could think of is like the Fast and Furious movies are all Universal, and those are huge cash grabs.
Those are
theaters.
Yep, those are.
So once that comes out, I'm sure they'll soften that a little bit. Well, all right, but just this one, you know?
Yeah, well, this one's like, nah, they're all going to be back. Ryan, UFOs exist.
Apparently exist, and it's like back page news. And you know the craziest thing was it Tom DeLonge, the guy from Blink-182.
He's been all over this for years,
and people were like, "You're nuts." And they're like, "Oh, actually, no, he's right. Here's in the video he's been showing you. That's
same
real.
Goddamn video from the Navy pilots. He's absolutely 100% on this, and it is amazing. And it's literally like a Friday night news dump when the Red Sox raise ticket prices, and they don't want anybody to know about it.
Yeah,
this is like they're like UFO in the middle of a pandemic. They're like, "Oh yeah, UFOs." And so I think two things.
By the way,
heads up on this. I think two things. One, there are so many people, myself included, that already are on board with UFOs and definitely believe in them. So when the government says, yeah, they exist, I'm like, yeah, no shit. And then there's plenty of other people that are just so swept up in if they're going to be able to leave the house that like, it's just nobody cares. It's crazy.
It's crazy to me that we've actually like basically said that like UFOs or these anomalies exist. The government said like, yeah, this is legitimate footage.
So we're just one step away from aliens. They haven't confirmed aliens, but that's what they're doing.
Let's do it. I mean,
That's
at this point, let's do it.
Let's do it, please.
Let's
Please.
do it. And I'll be on the first one to be like, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah, where are you gonna go?
Yeah,
where are you gonna go?
I'll pack the wife and kids, and I'll be like, no, I'm go with them.
Oh, to the aliens.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna go live on Mars potentially.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. I had a good run here. You know,
They have Wi-Fi.
They got Wi-Fi.
Speaking of aliens and UFOs, Rick and Morty is back. Ryan,
sure is.
did you watch last night's episode yet?
I did. It was okay. Sometimes they suck their own farts a little too much, and I think they did it in this episode.
I agree with you. It's like there's a couple of examples. I forget the names of the episodes, but you know the ones I'm talking about.
Yep.
Where they're like so deep in discussion, like, well, this is the show. No, this is the show, which is in like they Inception it too much.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Inception fan, and it's like it's just so over the top. So there's still like some laughs and like there's some funny characters in there, but then like through it, you're just like, all right, yeah, this is a smart show. You guys are smart.
Yeah, we get it.
Like, was that what you want from us?
And I hear the Rick and Morty fans screaming at us, but like. That's I don't know why I use that like sound.
Yeah, that's
like
kind of your go-to for everybody.
Yeah, for like any fandom. Like I just do. But I hear what you're saying, but like
calm down.
A little too self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Calm down. A little bit masturbatory, if we're being honest with each other. Yeah.
I'll dump that.
Yeah, dump that.
Ryan, there's 2 HBO trailers I saw. One for Lovecraft Country. It's like a Jordan Peele type of deal.
Yeah.
Could be spooky. You a Lovecraft guy? You know,
I tried to get into Lovecraft a while ago, and I was like, like a while ago, like in college and stuff. And I read some, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's not like scary. It's well written and it's good, but I don't know, not really my thing. Yeah.
And then there's a true crime documentary, I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
Yeah, and this super cool.
This one's interesting. So it's the Golden State Killer.
Yep.
And Patton Oswalt's ex-wife. Or
late wife.
I'm sorry. Late wife. She passed away, I think, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And she became like obsessed with this story. And there's like so obviously a whole bunch of the footage and stuff is with her. She became obsessed with the story. Like, why isn't this story more well known? And so it's tracking a serial killer, and she's a big part of it. And Patton Oswalt's voice comes on in the trailer as well. So I'll definitely watch this.
Yeah, definitely gonna check that out. It's true crime.
By the way, I started watching the one about the Atlanta kids murders.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's just so that's hard to watch.
Heavy. That's heavy. It was hard on Mindhunter.
It was, right. When
they were watching the actual story.
Brutal. I think it's 5 parts maybe. I've watched the first part and I'm like, it's good. It's well done. But man, is that a topic? So obviously a ton of Star Wars stuff, and Disney Plus went balls deep into the Star Wars stuff today. We're going to get into the Clone Wars. The Rise of Skywalker is available right now. And there's a documentary about the Mandalorian, which is going to be released weekly. I have not watched that yet. Have you?
Not yet.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but that should be good. I also tweeted out a graphic of 9 different users of the Force, Ryan. Both Jedi Knights and Siths. And I said, if it was like a Mortal Kombat Tekken type style tournament in all of Star Wars, who do you think would be victorious?
Peak power?
Everybody at their best, yes.
Vader.
Huh. So Vader, okay. A lot of people said Yoda. I was surprised by that.
No, I don't think.
I like the Vader call too. I think peak Vader. Although the thing is, peak Vader has already been like cut down, both literally.
Yeah.
You know, I think had that. I don't know. I think Vader's a good choice. A lot of people also said Vader. I mean, Obi-Wan was pretty good. Obi-Wan took Anakin down.
He took Anakin down, and he took Maul down.
And did Obi-Wan kill Grievous too? General Grievous? I think he might have.
He did.
Yeah. He's got some kills on his belt.
That's a good kill count.
That's impressive. So, all right, Ryan, that's the news that I got. Let's get to your news.
Oh, no, we got one more bit of news too. That popped today.
Speaking of Star Wars.
Speaking of Star Wars, Taika Waititi. It's now official. He said in a tweet, "Psych," because remember he was this whole thing. He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Like these are all just rumors. This is just speculation." And then he's actually what do you think he's going to do?
Something awesome, probably.
How about a Ahsoka Tano movie?
Oh my god, I can't even begin to tell you how much I like Ahsoka Tano.
Well, let's talk
I
about
don't,
it. Well,
I
let's
don't
talk
want
about it in a minute.
to. Let's do your stuff first. But yeah, but Taika Waititi, that's gonna be great. So
That's going to be awesome.
Let's get to the Davies video game minute.
Davies video game minute. So starting with some Star Wars news. So there, Battlefield 2 is a game that people apparently still play. What a stinker that was. But anyway, no more Battlefield 2 updates. The servers will remain active, but they are no more DLC for that game. So if you're still playing that game, that's the end. No more support from DICE or EA. In other news from DICE and EA, there's for Fallen Order, they now have New Game Plus and different fight challenges. So if you want to play that game through again, a New Game Plus, you can certainly do that. I had a little poll going on my Twitter. I'm kind of stuck. Like I'm waiting for like Cyberpunk to come out and some games to come out this summer. Things have been delayed. Yeah. So I'm like, what can I go back? A game that I never finished and go and finish it. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey won. So we're in Greece. We're having a good time. We figured out all that.
That's a fun game to watch too.
It's a fun game to watch too. Another game that I've started playing, Streets of Rage 4. Super fun.
Oh, okay.
Super fun. They have it on. It's on Steam. I might be on PlayStation. It's on everything. Okay. But there is online play. I don't know if there's cross play, but super fun to play. Streets of Rage 4. Super clean, super fast. Great animation game. So check that out for sure. Turns out The Last of Us 2, with the reports we got that it was a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee. Not true. Apparently that's like hackers. Some hackers who just got into their shit and whatever. And the last bit of news I have for the video game minute is the PlayStation Network games this month stink. Stink. You want to play Farm Simulator?
I don't.
I do not. No, thank you. So there's the news that's fit to dance to.
Ryan, let me ask you a very important question. Are you ready for the topic du jour? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day. And today, as it's very fitting, as it's Star Wars Day for another few hours, Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 7. We actually, if you look through the archives, we tried to jam the first 6 seasons into one episode. So you can go back. That was
vast.
That was a vast, daunting task, but we did the best we could. We were late to the game, both of us, on Clone Wars. A lot of you guys told us to watch it, so we did. And I liked it. And so here's Season 7, the final season. It was 12 episodes on Disney Plus. And they release them once a week, sort of like the Mandalorian. So it's not like the Netflix thing. However, Davey and I both watched them basically all within a week. I think you even less. You watched them in like a weekend, right?
Weekend, yeah.
Yeah. Let's begin spoiler free as we do with all of our TV and movie reviews. Clone Wars Season 7. Ryan, did you like it?
I did.
Yes, me too.
I did.
Me too. Now, better, worse, the same as previous seasons of the Clone Wars?
The good was better. The bad was the same, if that makes any sense. So like,
yes, it does.
I break it up. There's 3 arcs, right?
This basically was like 4-4-4.
Yeah, and they were like because 75% there. Yeah,
that's the deal with the Clone Wars too. Is it is so like there'll be like a 4-episode arc, and then there'll be like a one-off episode, then like a 3-episode arc, and then like a one-off episode. And they even had to come out later on with what the actual order is because it was so all over the place.
Yes.
And you'd be watching, you're like, well, wait a minute, this didn't happen. Like, that person's dead, I thought. And then like, so I don't know why it was that way, but it was. And then before they released it on Disney Plus, or maybe it was even before they released it on Netflix, because one of the seasons was on Netflix, they like came out on StarWars.com. They're like, well, here's the order you should probably watch it in, which is kind of crazy.
Which is crazy, which I wound up doing, which was nice.
But this Season 7, I mean, you're getting right up, because again, this all takes place in between Episode 2 and Episode 3 of the movies. And this takes you right up to and into Episode 3, which is really badass. So I'm with you. I think the good stuff of this is great, just like all of the really good stuff in Clone Wars is awesome, and you love it. But there's a lot of filler. There's a lot of just kind of forgettable stuff. There's a lot of, like, when we were going through it, both stuff online and then people who emailed us were like, here are the essential episodes you need to watch. Yep. And if you have time, go back and watch some more. So that's what I did. And the ones that like I skipped over, the ones that I watched, I'm like, yeah, I know why I skipped over them.
Yeah, because
you don't really need them.
Yeah, I don't really
And
need
the same thing happened here, which is too bad because you're like, there's only 12 episodes left.
Yep.
The first 4 were good, the middle 4 were and then the last 4 were the balls.
Awesome.
Or the
Yeah.
absolute balls. I would even ask you this. Does this show, and let's focus on the good parts of the show.
Okay.
Does it actually make the prequels better in your mind?
Yes.
Me too.
Because it's more interesting now to see, because there's a couple things that happen like along the way in the show, and you're like, oh, like little things that are just like kind of nods, but it makes that person or that character that much more interesting.
Because it's obviously Star Wars is weird in the sense, to me anyway, that Darth Vader is maybe the best character and the character that won our March Madness thing, or Dork Madness, and yet Anakin Skywalker stinks in the movies.
Yes.
Right? Like Kid Anakin, horrible actor. Sorry, Jake Lloyd, terrible. Hayden Christensen, maybe even worse. No chemistry with Padme. Just like, like you can't root for him. Like you don't like him. And then they kind of humanize him a little bit more in Clone Wars. Like he's better in Clone Wars.
And the
he's
motivation
still not the best, but he's better.
Yeah, and the way they did that and the way they wove that in was pretty clever. Like how they did, like in certain relationships with other people.
Yeah,
which now matter.
I thought so. That was a little bit better, and then like the Obi-Wan stuff and whatever. But like, just to be like, all right, there was a lot more going on. And again, it's tricky with prequels because you go back and watch the movie, and you're like, well, why didn't they talk about this, or why didn't they do this? But they did as good a job as you could, being like, here's 2 shitty movies. Episode 2, episode 3. 3 I don't think is shitty, but not good.
2 sucks.
2's trash. 2 might be the worst. You can make an argument for 2 being the worst. 3 is below average at best.
Yep.
And then they're like, do a whole series in between the 2, and you have to use these all as canon. And so in that regard, I think they did the best they could.
Yeah.
I would also say, and maybe I'm getting swept up in recency bias, which I can be a victim of. I think Ahsoka Tano is the best Star Wars character in Star Wars. I just told you. So Darth Vader, might have normally sided with Darth Vader. But if you go all inclusive, the Anakin stuff is also him, right? Yeah. And Darth Vader, so much of what he did, so much of his badass stuff is more like in lore, and it's like in Rogue One, which wasn't even obviously in the original trilogy. It's like in the comics, it's in the video games. Like just the movies, it's more like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be cool, but like he doesn't do anything all that cool.
Well, he's like big and imposing. He's like Jason, like from the Friday. He doesn't run.
Yeah. And he's got like, right. He's got the great voice. He's intimidating. Yep. He looks cool. I'll give you that.
Yep.
But like his fight with Obi-Wan's nothing. His fight with Luke is pretty lame, especially with what they were able to do after the fact. He chokes a couple dudes or whatever, but it's more like what you've sort of been led to believe with him.
Yeah.
Whereas like Ahsoka Tano is like everything. Like the character, like just the person is super compelling. But then the way she fights with 2 lightsabers is so badass. Her look is great. I don't know. It's like a flawless character to me.
And the thing that I really like too is that I feel like with the Jedi, you have like these like absolutes. Like you have like these, and she's kind of a person who's like kind of stuck in the middle. Like you're either one or the other, either Jedi or Sith, and she's kind of like teeters. Her and Maul kind of teeter back and forth.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about this whole series is Darth Maul and Ahsoka Tano are all the stuff with them is the best stuff.
I don't know, and we'll get more into this with spoilers, but I don't know who the voice actor is for Darth Maul, but he is incredible.
It's like legit scary, right?
Like, and like when the time where he's like yelling, and like he delivered probably the best animated monologue I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
he's like really good, and like the look is spot on, and then his voice is really good. All of the story arcs in the previous seasons, all of like the Dathomir stuff is really good. He has a fight with Darth Sidious, which is incredible. And because that was such a good reveal, which obviously we had spoiled to us because we weren't watching it live. But the fact that they brought him back is so good. Yeah, Jordan says Sam Witwer is the voice actor.
He's awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like legit, he's like scary. It's like the only scary thing in this. Yeah. Or like the Night Sisters were scary and like some of that stuff in the previous seasons. What is your hashtag dork score just for the season?
Just for the season, and this is gonna, it's like a 4.5. And the reason being is because, like you said, there's 4 episodes right in the middle of the season that are just okay.
Yeah.
At best, they're okay.
So I'm going to go with a 5.
Yeah.
And again, and the reason why is I think roughly 4 episodes at the beginning are a 5. The middle 3, I'm going to say are a 4. I could understand them being lower. And then the final 4 are like a 6 to me. And I'm so swept up in Ahsoka Tano. I'm so swept up in the ending, which we'll get to, that I'm going to give it a 5. But I could see maybe I'm just too hyped because it's Star Wars Day, Ryan.
I would say there's one episode here that's the last 4. So, like you said, the best part about these is that they're like 20 minutes long.
Yes, you
or
rip
like
through
a half
them.
hour long. You rip through them. I would say 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah,
you could make that that would have been an awesome standalone movie.
And so this, I gotta give credit to Dale and Keefe producer John Anderson, who's a big fan of Clone Wars, Rebels, and all this other stuff. He pointed out that you notice how episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12 are part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they also don't have the same beginning that they normally do. And
I did notice that.
So he thinks they probably will release it as a movie.
Oh,
which they probably should.
They should, because
I don't know if they will, but
electric. It's better than
awesome.
any Star Wars movie I've seen in the last 20 years.
Yeah, you know what? Better than, yeah. Do you think it's better than Rogue One?
Slightly, because it's characters I kind of care about. Like
I'm so in on Ahsoka Tano.
Well, that's the thing. Like they're now we know that she's going to be in the Mandalorian, so now I care more. Right, and not only that, but they're characters I know. Like I knew everyone in Rogue One's going to die.
Yeah, yeah, pretty good sense.
Yeah.
So I have not seen Rebels, and you haven't either, right?
The show? No, I have not. I think I watched the first season.
So Rebels takes place after Episode 3. I think technically in the timeline, also after Solo, but before Rogue One. I think they say like 5 years before A New Hope. So, and Ahsoka Tano was in it. And so I need to watch it. And so John also told me, and if you guys have sort of a similar essential episode things, maybe that'd be easier, because there's like I think 75 episodes.
Yeah, if there's anything I could skip, let me know.
Apparently you can skip like all of season 1.
Okay, thank God.
You can. That's what I heard. You can skip all of season 1.
I was dragging on that.
Maybe jump in on the last episode. All you need to know is there's like a group of believe it or not, rebels, and like there's like different characters.
Yeah.
But then from there, I think we can pick it up, and it becomes a little bit more kind of closer to Clone Wars. I think like the same guy like did both. The Dave Filoni guy or whatever. Yeah, I think he was a part of both. So anything else non-spoiler here?
No, it's good. It's a good.
It's a must watch on this. It's a must watch.
Yeah.
If you get first of all, you got nothing else to do.
What are you doing?
You know, you're bored out of your gourd, so you might as well enjoy some Star Wars. All right, so spoilers. Let's just go through the episodes. So 12 episodes. The first arc, 4 episodes. It's the Bad Batch.
Yep.
So I'll tell you what, I didn't love all of the clone stuff in the first 6 seasons.
Right.
I thought it was hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
This was great.
This was
where they dive in and they're like, here are some clones that like they're basically like mutants, so like X-Men version of clones. Right. Like there's some sort of deformity with them, but it makes them fucking sweet. And that was just like a great run, I thought.
It was a great run, and it was a great they used them in like different ways, you know, so which is really cool. They're like this mercenary outfit, like you said, have been like augmented further than the other clones. Which, like you said, it broke it up a little bit for me. Like I was, you know, Rex is great, but I was kind of like getting stale on that. And then they go and they get what's the dude, Echo?
Yeah, they Echo like he was still alive, and it made sense too because like all these clones are programmed. So if you're an enemy, wouldn't you kidnap a clone and like hook them up to a thing and like know what they're doing?
Yeah, it's very Westworld. They had the algorithm, so they knew like where they were going to go and their tactics and all that stuff. So that was actually pretty clever. I thought that was really good.
So I thought that was pretty good too. So they had to go save Private Echo. There was also a scene in episode 3 where they're like escaping with Echo. So he's obviously like a mess. And so like it's like the Bad Batch Rex, a couple guys, and they're just trying to get out of there. And there's like droid, like constant droids, but it's also a bunch of different looking droids that we were used to seeing.
Yeah.
And when one of them, they were out there on that thing, and they were like kind of like falling off the edge, like that big like kind of bridge thing.
Yep.
And then they like got away, like they flew those animals, and then all of a sudden those droids just like got wings and flew after them. I was like, we'd never seen that before. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
And it was funny because they had like those, what do they call them? Like the rolling droids, or like spider, like not spider droids, but like something like, but they're like each place they went had like their own version of those.
Oh yeah.
Like they were like they looked the same, but they were like modified to like fit.
Right.
Like it was actually pretty cool.
And this was good too because you get some Anakin stuff with Mace Windu and like Obi-Wan, and they're like fighting against these droids, and you just sort of see kind of like, I don't know, like what those guys are capable of, and like how much they rely on the clones, and like vice versa, and like they're like what a team they are. But you also see in this, there's that spider villain, like Trench, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And
The
so
clicky mouth.
This sort of toes the line too in episode 4, where Anakin, you know, they're sort of like, obviously he's gonna be turning dark side soon.
Yes.
So, and like when he's like threatening the spider, he's like, "Listen up, dude. Like, tell me what's going on." And he's like, "Oh, you won't hurt me. You're a Jedi." And then he just like slices off his arms.
Yeah,
like, okay, dude. And then he ends up killing him.
He winds up killing him. Yeah.
So you're like, all right, that's
here we go.
Stuff.
Here we go.
I also loved, there was a great scene, and it seems like between Marvel, Netflix, and Star Wars stuff, there's really good hallway scenes.
Yes.
So in episode 4, the Bad Batch is like trying to escape, and they set up some crazy ass shit in the hallway. And so like the big bruiser guy goes and like kills a whole bunch of them. Yeah. But then the other dude, Crosshair, like they're like marksmen,
flicking stuff. I'm thinking like, oh, he's gonna blow it up. It's grenades. Right?
So sick. He like sticks all these things and then like shoots one thing, and it just like goes back and forth and just wipes out a shitload of droids.
And it's like
badass.
They said something like, "Oh, he's gonna like what Wrecker's running to the big guy. He's running. He's gonna like, no, he's gonna one up me. Like, he's not gonna one up. Just get to the ship or whatever."
Yeah, and he did.
And he did, and it was awesome.
And he did, and it was sweet.
How about a Taika Waititi Bad Batch movie?
See, I think that would be good because you could have one or two of the characters be like super funny, and so I think that'd be good.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I like that. So then episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8 are another arc. So on the one hand, Ahsoka Tano's back.
Yeah,
I like that. Finally get Ahsoka Tano. She befriends Trace Martez and her sister Rafa. Stinks.
Oh, it sucked.
Stuff
and
stinks.
Like it stunk because like clearly like you needed to put Ahsoka somewhere that's like hiding. And where better to hide than in a like enormous like city planet where people know who you are. Not only that, but like she clearly knew like she's trying to like give these two sisters like plans and like how to do things, and they're like ignoring her the whole time, which is frustrating.
Yep. Also, I think Trace Martez might be the dumbest character ever on screen. Like she's like Alan from The Hangover dumb.
Yes.
Where you like try to tell her something and she like just doesn't get it. Like there was that one scene where they were all being held captive by the Pikes.
Yeah.
And then Ahsoka was like, "No, like I'll tell you everything you need to know. Just like let them go." And they're like, "Well, why?" He's like, "Because if you don't, like, I'll tell you where their family lives." And they're like, "All right." And then so they let them go, and then they keep Ahsoka. And then Rafa's talking to her, or Trace is like,
"Yeah,
can you believe she said all that stuff?" And Rafa's like, "Well, she did that so we could go. Like, we told her we don't have a family."
And she goes, like, "Yeah, we don't even have a family. I don't know why she said that." And there's just like, she's
like, "What?"
Christ. Like,
she was so dumb the whole time.
Well, speaking of dumb too, so that happened. So they get captured by the Pikes, right? They get put into a cage, which then Ahsoka quickly breaks out of. Like the guys aren't even out of the hallway yet, and she already broke out of the thing.
Good. Mm-hmm.
And then they capture her again, and then put her right back in the same jail cell. Like, I know it's a cartoon, I know, but like,
no, I hear you though. It was annoying, and I just think the then. So basically, there's the whole thing with their spice runners, and they're going to Kessel. So like that part was cool. I like that.
Cool. Oh, we got a Kessel mention. Nice.
I like that. and then they're like arguing over what to do with the spice, and at no point did either one of them say it'd be the best if we just got rid of it, and
Yeah, just take it.
she just dumped the
Yeah.
spice. That was so dumb.
Or she like was angry and like hit her fist in her own ship and dumped the whole thing. Like,
No, she did it on purpose though. She dumped the spice.
and then
Even Ahsoka was like, no, we needed that. We needed.
and she's like, you told me it was bad. It's like, yeah, but you need something to give them. You need something because now we're gonna die. So nice, well done. So that was that whole arc was frustrating.
But at least to me, like the bright spots. And again, it was too long. You didn't need it, but it reintroduces Ahsoka. I also think it's really smart by the show because you know that she's not in the Star Wars movies, but she's obviously a very important character. So like, how can you spin it? And the fact that she leaves the Jedis is genius. Like her not being a Jedi. Now I know that was last season, but still, like her not being a Jedi is perfect. Like that's the only way you can kind of, without killing her, it's the only way that you could do it. So she's not a Jedi anymore. And then in episode 8, you at least get Darth Maul back, at least for a second. Like he's in like the hologram and he's talking about the Crimson Dawn. He's talking to the pipes. Yeah. So at least you get that. And Maul, they say he's in Mandalore, and you're like, all right, well, we know we're headed in the right direction, at least at this point.
And what do they call it? The Syndicate? Like the whole thing with the coalition or something like that. Because there's a scene, and I don't know, it's in the next arc, so we'll get to that in a second. But
yeah, because then you have the lady from the old like Death Watch. It's not Death Watch anymore, but she's coming. She's like, "Hey, Ahsoka, like we have a common villain. Like we got to team up and take down Darth Maul." So that's pretty sweet. All right, so now you get to the final arc, which is fantastic. So these are the final 4 episodes, which lead right up and then get into Revenge of the Sith, and you get Obi-Wan showing up. I take it back. Obi-Wan wasn't in the other thing. It was Mace Windu was. Yes. But Obi-Wan's now in this. He shows up. Anakin and Ahsoka finally meet up, right? Because they hadn't seen each other in a while.
Right.
And she gets her lightsabers back, which is sweet. And then they basically kind of tease like a Ahsoka Tano, Darth Maul cliffhanger at the end of episode 9.
Now, I know you're a guy who does not like superheroes being unmasked in movies. That has been your stance for some time.
Correct. Avenger. Well, if you are like Spider-Man, you wear a mask. You chose to wear a mask. Wear a mask.
Well, here's my problem. The only problem I have with this arc, how much she drops those goddamn lights, like those lightsabers, like the ones.
2 of them.
She's holding 2 of them, and she like loses them, and then in the next scene she has them.
Well,
like, I don't know how that.
The Force.
I understand.
Zip. You can zip them right back. Zip. Because just no problem like that. So then episode 10 is called The Phantom Apprentice,
which was the best episode of the series.
It was awesome.
This one was awesome. This is when you get the fight between Ahsoka and Darth Maul.
And you also officially find out that they are now into the movie.
Yes.
Like with the things that are being said, this is now stuff that we didn't see in episode 3, because Obi-Wan mentions how like Anakin has killed Count Dooku. And he tells Ahsoka that Anakin is spying on Palpatine. And you can tell that Ahsoka has her and Anakin. She like obviously believes in Anakin at this point, very much so.
Yep.
And she knows that Anakin likes Palpatine, so she's like, why? Like she has the same reaction to that news as Anakin did when he found out in the movie that was like his job, you know?
Yes. Yep.
I thought what was fucking awesome, and you couldn't have really done it this way for either character, but Darth Maul wanting to team up with Ahsoka Tano,
and not like a Sith way. He's just like, we're all gonna die.
Yeah,
like he even says at one point.
Right.
Like,
that's what's so cool about it too, is like you get the 2 different angles where if you watch this and obviously the movie, you see Anakin getting closer to Palpatine and like being blinded by what's really going on, and then just becoming full-blown bad guy. Whereas like Darth Maul was full-blown bad guy, still is.
Still is.
He's like Venom, but like worse. You know, he's not. I love because like, but it's great though. Is like he's a bad guy, but his biggest villain is the biggest bad guy.
Right. And it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So it's like they have this whole thing that like both of them, because he knows that Sidious wants Anakin to be his new
Yeah.
apprentice, and then which means he's out.
Yeah.
It means he's nobody, and
Right.
just like
And
he's
like,
been
well, they
cast
had that
out.
fight. Like, he's done with them, and like he moved
Yeah,
on with them with Dooku. He moved on with, and he's like, he's done with Darth Maul, and so Maul, and he just knows that like, yeah, this is bad. Going like, what's going on
yeah,
now is like he is gonna take over the whole goddamn thing, and the whole time it's so cool when like Maul realizes stuff when he's like, oh shit, he's like the clones, like he like programmed the clones. He's like, I never knew that, and he's like,
yeah.
that's like the perfect thing.
And there was a really cool thing in this episode too, which I was alluding to before. The first time she comes upon him in like the sewer tunnel, and he's like talking to the syndicate or whatever. If I'm butchering the name, that's just how I remembered it in my head.
That's fine.
One of them is Dryden Voss.
Oh, nice.
If you look at one of them, you can tell it's Dryden Voss.
Is it really?
Yeah, the
That's
one on the
really
right
good. From Solo.
Yeah,
That's really good. So Maul also he basically just tells Ahsoka Tano like what's gonna happen to Anakin too.
yep.
Like straight up tells him or tells her, and she won't believe him, which is fine. I mean, that's the character wouldn't at this point. Why would you? And then she captures Darth Maul though after like a fucking fight and a half. Like that was a badass fight.
It was awesome, and he gives that huge pump up speech to like all the Mandalorians.
Yeah,
you know, and that cool scene. They're in like that throne room. They actually have 2 fights or 3 fights.
Oh yeah, they don't mess around. But like the whole thing,
Yeah.
like right before she captures them is a really good one. Like when they're up in the air and they're like going back and forth, and like because those two were so used to like regular like lightsaber fights. Like the fact that he has like the double lightsaber and then she has 2 different ones, like it was fucking awesome. It makes for really good stuff.
And this is some of the best lightsaber fights I've seen.
And apparently, what also was going on the internet, and this is another shout out to John Anderson. He's told me, and I got to look this up for sure, that there are certain times, these final 4 episodes, where if you listen to the music, it lines up perfectly with the music from episode 3, and that's trying to tell you that that's
it's funny. Yeah, because I remember that's so cool because I remember like you hear like Anakin's theme. Or you hear like the Skywalker theme.
There's also that moment where
at random times
Anakin's talking to Palpatine a couple times. I think one of the times like in the Senate, and there's like a sort of like it's like a weird kind of like a haunting kind of sound. And I think they play it in the. I can look it up. I'm sure there's more times.
No, that's just to let you know, audio cue of what's going on in the movie.
And you're like, so that's where you can sync it up time wise, like to where you're at.
I love shit like that.
It's really cool. Like that's why it's like. As much as it felt like George Lucas kind of like threw together the prequels, it seems like the dudes in charge of Clone Wars like wanted to make sure it was like good.
Yeah. And one of the other things I was going to mention before I forget too is when she brings him into custody.
Yeah.
And he tells her, just let me die.
Yeah, because he like knows what's happening.
He knows just like he's like that's when he starts screaming like you don't know what you're doing. We're all gonna die.
So good. Episode 11 is part 3 of this sweet little run here. It's called Shattered, and this is where you get your first Order 66.
Yeah.
From Darth Sidious. So obviously that's an easy one. You can line that up from the movie to this because you hear
and isn't it brutal? No matter
clones.
How many times you hear it, like
it is
the execute Order 66. Like you hear it come over the thing, and you're like, ugh. Like
oh
that
my
sucks.
God. And then they're just going after.
Yep.
Going after goddamn Jedi.
Well, one of the great things I think they did,
plan though, right? Like what a genius plan, and like that was sort of, I think, lost in some of the prequel hate when they first came out. Like what a great plan is to have. First of all, you have the Sith Master working under the nose of the Jedi the whole time.
Yep.
Like he like rises to power. He basically becomes Emperor, but he is not like. He just stays on, right? Like that's the other thing that I love about it. Like you're supposed to have like however many year term, and he just stays in somehow, and he does that. And then for like years out, you're like, we're gonna have a clone army, but not only that, but we're gonna like put like a chip in them. So we're gonna be working against them for a while, but then when the time comes, we're gonna flip them. That's great.
An entire army.
And for years. The clones were like good guys and helping the good guys for years.
And that's when it's such a cool flip too, that like that same group are stormtroopers. Like these
Mhm.
guys who now you're like invested in are all stormtroopers now, which is nuts.
Which is crazy. Which
Yeah.
is absolutely crazy. So you get more Ahsoka Tano and Darth Maul, and then Tano versus all these clones, but she doesn't want to kill the clones. Although oh no, so now I'm on to episode 12. Sorry. So the final
Yeah.
episode, she needs to create a diversion, so she frees Darth Maul.
Yep.
But so this is probably something that's gonna be weighing on Ahsoka Tano. She says, like, I know, and like, because she has this great conversation with Rex, and Rex is like, these guys don't care, because she's able to like unprogram Rex, obviously,
Yeah.
or deprogram or whatever. So now Rex is back on her side, but the rest of the clones all want to kill her, and she's like, I know they're gonna die, I know they want to die, but like, I'm not gonna be the one that kills them.
Yeah.
However, she released Darth Maul, who destroyed the ship, which then led all of them to plummet to their death.
Yeah.
So she did kill all of them.
And then he destroyed like the hyperdrive. Or she did inadvertently kill all of them. But...
She did, right, inadvertently. And then he not only destroyed the hyperdrive, but then he stole the one remaining cruiser out of there or whatever. And then, which was badass. And I was like, at first you're like, is she going to get on there with him? And
that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought she was going to like strike a deal with him, to get on it. But then, then their escape, her and Rex's escape out of that thing was actually pretty fucking.
That was crazy. Those droids were great, and before they died, they were great. So that was cool, and that was like really good action stuff. It was tense, really, really good stuff. Really good Star Wars stuff with like droids and clones and Jedi. Like the whole thing was fucking awesome. And then Ryan, at the end, so Rex and Ahsoka Tano escape.
Yep.
And they go down. They land on this planet, like this moon that was pulling them in. She buries all the clones that were there,
and it was cool. The ones with like painted their faces to look
just
like
her. Crazy. Yeah. And then she drops her lightsaber, and then she leaves. And then I believe a couple years go by.
Has to be
right, because it couldn't have been right away, as we know.
No.
A couple years go by. Darth Vader, like a young Darth Vader, shows up. Walks down, sees what's going on, grabs her lightsaber, turns her lightsaber on, then like turns around and you can see like his reflection in like the helmet. Badass.
Yeah. And then you see like
that's so good.
Is that Hoth? Because it's got like I don't think it is. But anyway.
I don't think so.
But the when time has passed because you see her drop the lightsaber and walk away, and then the very next scene you get stormtroopers.
Oh my god.
You get like the Imperial Army.
So good.
And then you hear the breath. You see like, and like you said, you talk about lore, like every trooper stops. Like when they see it, and just like it's so cool, just like have that presence.
Yeah.
No,
that was so cool. And so to get Darth Vader, and that's why again, like because of Rogue One and because of this show and maybe Rebels, I assume Rebels, I'm gonna watch Rebels, I'll find out.
Yep.
It kind of like enhances more, because I've always thought, and even as a young guy, like when they came out with the prequels, and I loved the original trilogy, obviously as a kid, like everybody did. I always said, you know what, like basically episode 3.5 would be the best movie ever, because it would be Darth Vader being the biggest badass in the galaxy.
Yeah,
that's
like,
what where's that? Like we're still missing. Like basically, think of the last 2 minutes of Rogue One. That should be a whole movie or a whole TV series.
Yeah, and like think of like when the Mandalorian is taking place, he's alive. Like that's like in the thick of it, right?
When the Mandalorian begins?
No, that's after. Never mind, that's after.
He's dead.
He's long dead. Mandalorian's between 6 and 7.
Yeah, it's like a handful of years after 6.
Yeah.
So meaning like Ahsoka would be, what did we say? Like in her 40s, probably.
In her 40s.
Like she could probably she'd be around. You could still see obviously Han and Luke and Leia. They would all still be around.
Now, what if?
Yes.
Ahsoka Tano makes it out of the whole thing, because she winds up with white lightsabers, right?
I think so.
Could there be a story where she finishes Rey's training? Which would explain Rey's white lightsaber.
So could Ahsoka Tano make it all the way through to episode 9, like past
Should be
episode
old.
9.
Should be old, but we're dealing with aliens. Some of them are 800, 900 years old.
Good point. Yeah, Yoda lived a long time.
Especially
I don't see why
not
not.
out of the realm.
I don't see why not, Ryan. But I loved it. I loved it. So now I got to watch Rebels, and I'm even more excited for Mandalorian 2, and I was already excited for Mandalorian 2.
Well, now your favorite Star Wars character is going to be in it, so.
She is. If you guys want to jump in the chat with anything Star Wars related, Clone Wars related, anything Star Wars related, as it is May the 4th, you have anything else on Clone Wars Season 7, Ryan?
I'm so glad. The only thing, I'm glad I didn't watch this episode by episode. I'm glad I binged it.
Me too.
Took me no time at all. So if you guys haven't seen an episode of it, I don't know why you're still here, because we just spoiled the whole thing.
No, we just spoiled the whole thing.
Blow through it. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. I loved it. I guess it's definitely the best parts. You know, if for some reason somebody that you were talking to was on like a real time crunch, you could tell them to watch the last 4 episodes.
Just watch the last 4 episodes. That's all you need. Yeah. I can fill in the gaps.
That's really all you need.
Yeah.
Brian, are you ready for the pick of the pod?
Sure am.
All right, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or defend a goal?
I will receive this week.
Okay.
Because I have 2 quick ones. If you guys didn't see the Parks and Rec special on NBC, they did like their distance thing. It's actually really, really good. It's on Hulu if you guys want to watch the Parks and Rec reunion show. Very clever. Nice message. So if you guys are into that show, it was like seeing old friends again. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
I love seeing old friends.
And it wasn't like...
I'd love to have some someday.
But it wasn't like cheesy.
Yeah.
But it was just the right amount of schmaltz. And the other thing, I just found out today, I don't have Quibi. Remember that thing that just came out? It was like 10-minute movies. It's like an app that has like 10-minute episodes or whatever. They just rebooted Reno 911 on Quibi, and they're going to have new episodes every day. So I might actually check that out because I love Reno 911. So
that's good.
And the whole cast is back.
Oh, that was funny. That was a funny show.
A funny show.
I like that show. All right, Ryan, I got a couple of things. One, we've mentioned this movie a few times, but the Dale and Keefe show is now going to be doing like a movie club. And so every Thursday, we're going to nominate a movie. And then on Friday, or then that Thursday afternoon, we put it to a poll.
Sure.
And then on Friday, we announce what the movie is. And then on Tuesday, we talk about the movie. This week, it is Ex Machina.
Perfect.
Which was my nominee and won.
Sci-fi. Yep.
And I can't wait. This movie is very good. I'm definitely looking forward to talking about Ex Machina. And for some reason, if anybody's missed it, it made our best of the decade list.
Yeah.
It is on Netflix. Like, that's the thing about Netflix is I feel like if you just pop it on, it's all these like TV shows that they had just acquired, or their original movies, or their true crime that dominate like what's on.
There's so much stuff.
Have really good movies on there.
They do, and that's like kind of. And the problem is you have to dig a little. Like if you talk like Disney Plus has it laid out in such a way that so if you want Star Wars, boom, click Star Wars. If you want Marvel, click
it's
Marvel.
One of those things where like if you're thinking of a movie, type it in and it might
just
be there.
Google it or Bing it.
Bing it, and then or like on your Netflix search bar, just like search it and like it might be there.
Yeah. So watch Ex Machina. It's probably that and Blade Runner 2049 are probably my 2 favorite sci-fi movies of the past like 5 years.
Yeah. All right. Want to get to some of these comments?
Yeah, let's get some comments and questions, thoughts and feelings.
All right. Our dude Jordan says things I took away from this final season of Clone Wars: Rex and Ahsoka are Anakin's true legacy. They are products of the best parts of Anakin,
and they're the ones who like knew him the best.
Yeah, and I think like any kind of like connection that Anakin or Darth Vader like may or may not have to like Luke and Leia, like obviously like that plays out in the movies. He didn't know them.
And he didn't know
he knew these two.
Yeah. And they knew him. They knew him when he was like the shit. Yeah.
That's definitely true.
That's absolutely true.
Mike says he loves this podcast so much because we save him so many hours of binging.
Yeah, no,
we try to help you out. We try to limit, what you have to watch.
But Mike, I would say even though you saved you from binging, you still got to watch the last 4. If you're into this, watch the last 4. Still got to watch it, like because we kind of glossed over it, but there's a ton of meat in that. That's really good.
Rogue One, we knew the ending. Clone Wars, we knew Ahsoka made it out, and we knew Anakin turned, and yet we were still deeply engaged. Incredibly well done. Yeah, that's what I agree. Like it's any kind of prequel is a tough cookie to crack.
So did we know Ahsoka made it out? Because we saw.
You and I did not know, but people who watched Rebels did know.
Yeah, see, I didn't know.
That's the thing. It's like we wouldn't have known.
I mean, the only reason I knew is because she's in The Mandalorian. That's the only reason I knew that she made it out.
Well, right. So same thing with me is I was like, oh, so they kind of spoiled it, and then I got like a bunch of tweets and emails being like, well, she's also in Rebels. I'm like, fair enough.
Oh, and did I also miss? Is she actually in the movie Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith? Fuck, what am I talking about?
No.
Well, like
so
you don't see her for like a second.
So apparently, maybe you're right about this. Apparently, you know that scene in the Rise of Skywalker where there's like a whole shitload of voices going on at the end?
Yeah.
Somebody said her voice is in there.
Oh.
So could be. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I think that'll be my next show to sort of binge a little bit.
Yeah, I got to do Rebels. Might not be a standalone, but we'll do it in our own time. We'll do it off stream.
And I think I'm going to skip season 1 and then dive in from there.
All right.
I think that's going to be the plan.
Next
week, do we have a thing carved up for next week?
We don't have any Jessica Jones, maybe? Finally get to that?
Season 3, Jessica Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
I meant to mention 3 weeks ago, I think it was, that the Jessica Jones's mom from season 3 was the lady in Ozark. Was Helen in Ozark.
Oh, shit.
That happens all the time. Like, there's so many Netflix overlap characters.
Yeah, so much. Yeah. And the guy who played the brother was the guy from Iron Fist.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And he was great.
Yeah. He was
awesome in that.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll figure out something. We always do. Don't worry about us. We always figure out something.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure out something. You can rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or just about everywhere else your podcasts are available. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dork Podcast. You can email us anytime, including episode ideas, dorkpodcast@gmail.com. You can stream the episodes as well live on Monday nights or after the fact if you just want to, sit around on your youtube.com/dorkpodcast. And Davey be twitching on twitch.tv/rvaughnd.
Yeah, man.
Love it. Love it very much. Good stuff. Thanks for everybody that was jumping in here tonight. We will talk to you next week with a very new and exciting topic. I don't know what that is yet, Ryan, but it's going to be exciting to all of us. And do you know what they say about wombats?
Square buttholes, baby.